All right, I'd like to call the July 22nd meeting of the CSU Board of Trustees to order. If I could please ask Ms. Hernandez to call the roll.
With pleasure. Trustee Achtenberg. Trustee Alexanian. Here. Trustee Brewer. Here. Governor Brown, Speaker Atkins, Trustee Day. Trustee Eisen. Here. Trustee Farrar. Trustee Fagan. Trustee Fortune. Trustee Garcia. Trustee Glazier. Trustee Kimbell. Trustee Monville. Chair Monville. Trustee Morales. Lieutenant Governor Newsom. Trustee Norton. Trustee Stepanek. Sorry. Superintendent Torlakson. Chancellor White. Chair Monville, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hernandez. At this time, the board hears from public speakers. We will proceed with a maximum 30-minute period for public comments. Speakers have 3 minutes for the remarks. When a speaker's time ends, I ask that you yield the microphone so the next speaker is able to address the board. Ms. Hernandez, if you please call the speakers.
Richard Shave, Jim Odling, and Joe Bell.
Hello, my name is Richard Shave. I am an alum of Cal State Los Angeles 2005. I live at 5166 O'Sullivan Drive. That's about 50 feet from the new media building on Lansdowne, and I'm here to give an update to the trustees on our attempt to have an advisory committee formed with campus and our neighborhood to deal with some of the salient problems around noise from the university student union and maintenance and construction at night. In September of last year, I approached the office of the mayor of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti, and they agreed to help us reach out to campus to form this committee. In January of this year, we had our neighborhood council send a letter to the president of the university and the mayor and our council district to form this committee, and we haven't had any progress. I am hoping that in the fall there will be progress in forming this committee. It's something we as a neighborhood feel we really need. There are a lot of issues regarding sound and our neighborhood being within 50 feet of a university building that are not dealt with. We'd really like to be able to meet with policymakers about things that impact our immediate neighborhood. And so I hope to come back in the fall and have some progress on the formation of this committee so that there is a interface and a dialogue with policymakers on campus about decisions that are deeply impacting our neighborhood and we as a neighborhood feel need to be addressed. Thank you so much.
Mr. Odling?
Yes. Can you hear me? If I stand this high from the mic, can you hear me? My name is Jim Odling. I'm a neighbor of California State University. And I want to talk about, I have two neighbors. One's been a very good neighbor for the 26 years I lived there. One is California State University of Los Angeles. One is the California State University Student Union, which has been a very good neighbor until 5 years ago. The noise is louder up here than it is at the street, at the student union level, street level, said one of the staff members at the media center when it opened this fall. He's talking about the sound blowing up the canyon like where we live. You can look at a picture. I attached a photo which shows a line of sight picture of a speaker at the Cal State LA Student Union, and my house is right in the background. Since late 2008, the rebuilt Cal State LA Student Union building opened with something new, an outdoor event stage. The stage has amplified sound events, sending noise off-site, disrupting the lives of residential neighbors. In 2009, a petition was signed by 27 campus neighbors when the student union was inaugurated. And we asked, and that thing, as the petition says very clearly, is that we asked that no amplified sound coming from the campus exceed the expectation that we have for any neighbor of our community. There's 27 signatures on there, and we worked for a very long time to get rid of loud parties in the neighborhood. So you don't have to believe me about that this noise has been bad. I've been calling the campus police for how long, I don't know. I've sent many emails. So far, we've got very little response. But I don't ask you to believe me. You can go to two YouTube links I put on on the first page of the first attachment. There's some links at the bottom. You can look up Cal State University Student Union as one of the tags. You'll find it. of the noise that you can experience from my bedroom. In that call, in those two videos, I'm making police calls at both times. You can hear the loudness, both from my bedroom window and from my backyard. It is very loud. It makes my house unusable. So the student union originally was apologetic to this. They knew they had a problem. And the former Joseph Savigiri, the former executive director of the student union, recognized that. But in the last year and a half, this campus administration and student union is now defending this with saying they're doing it to augment the educational experience of the student by disrupting the neighborhood indirectly. Worse is that 2 months ago, I was entertained for over 20 hours on a Saturday and Sunday when an off-campus organization was allowed to use the student union. They had generators, they had amplified sound, they had drums and all kinds of noise for 20 hours. I had to go to a friend's house just to get away from my house because I couldn't use it. So my expectation is very simply that the university be the exemplary neighbor it was 26 years ago when I moved in, and the student union returned to that status it had for the first 21 years of my living there. Your documents attached, you can read them, you can go to YouTube and see. You don't have to believe me, look at the photos, go to YouTube, and I appreciate your time.
Good afternoon, I'm Jo Bell. I'm here to talk about the state of higher education in California, opportunities for policy and institutional change. There is a packet, it's 37 pages long. Some of the Board of Trustees will probably not have it. I'm hopeful that Ms. Hernandez will make that available to you after the meeting is concluded. The purpose that I presented the packet is I want to eliminate the notion in our policy that faculty are not obligated to include students in meetings pertaining to enrollment status, conduct disorder, grade appeals, or general discussions regarding academic progress. I like the policy of the university or your philosophy. You state that a faculty's primary responsibility is to create, through effective teaching, a learning environment where students grow and develop to their fullest potential. But one of the persons said that we're in a very difficult business, and that is education. Well, I want to present the humane side of it, or the humanity side of it. Students need to understand the CSU educational web, and it is a web, and how the role of faculty, staff, and policy are connected for educational achievement. Students need to know the first line of contact by email or telephone call. Calling the operator or being transferred to the office of the chancellor is not effective. When I mention a web, on one hand, you have the student who is not connected. So you're going to put the student isolated on the left. In the middle of the web, you have the faculty, the office of the chancellor, the dean, the associate dean, program advisor, you have the staff. Then you continue down on the web, you have the student union, labor relations, equity and diversity, grade appeals process committee, university policy, application deadlines, which include admission, advancement to candidacy, or graduation. Further down on the web, you have what you call a Turnitin program. You have Beach Board, and then you have Task Stream. When a student encounters a problem with a professor, staff, department, or policy, how do you form a collaboration between the student and the CSU system or structure? How do you connect the web to teach, to reach your goal that learning is the effort of the faculty, that learning, growth, and allowing students to develop to their fullest potential is the responsibility of the faculty and staff. So what I'm suggesting is a communication process between faculty, staff, and student must improve. Communication will provide two main goals: clarification for students, improve area of support, including an alternative education route. You mentioned a lot of other campuses that may be best suited for some students, whereas others are not. Clarification for faculty and staff improvements. This collaboration is not easy. It has the challenge of cultural diversity, social economic diversity, educational diversity, pride, and history. It will require flexibility for students, faculty, and staff to be successful. Thank you.
Tammy Benjamin and S.D. Chandler.
the button. There we go. Good afternoon. My name is Tammy Benjamin, and I'm here representing 7 nonprofit organizations concerned with the issue of campus anti-Semitism, who sent a letter to San Francisco State President Wong asking for an investigation of a professor's potential misuse of university funds for a trip to the Middle East, which the professor herself had described as, quote, a political solidarity tour to promote the academic boycott of Israel, and which included meetings with members of U.S. State Department-designated terrorist organizations. President Wong defended the professor's use of public funds for her personal advocacy, describing it as research, and stating that his investigation concluded the professor's trip complied with established rules without fault or violation. We are extremely troubled by President Wong's statement, as are many others throughout the state and across the country. Hundreds of California taxpayers have written to State Controller Chang to express their outrage in this matter and to urge him to investigate the potential misuse of state funds. California faculty, too, are disturbed that President Wong has condoned the use of university funds for political advocacy. Earlier this month, 12 faculty members from the University of California sent a letter to State Controller Chang stating, President Wong's justification of this abuse of California taxpayers' money as legitimate research is outrageous and so broadens the term research as to make it meaningless. Yesterday, dozens of faculty from universities throughout California sent a letter to the state controller indicating that they are appalled that a professor has been allowed to use state funds to advance her own political agenda and to promote an academic boycott of Israel, and they are deeply disturbed that President Wong has condoned the professor's use of state funds as legitimate research. In addition, articles in more than 60 California and national media outlets have demonstrated the broad-based public concern about the misuse of taxpayer educational funds for promoting a political agenda and meeting with terrorists. Now we are turning to you, the CSU Board of Trustees with ultimate fiduciary responsibility for the university, with a question that many concerned citizens and faculty in our state and across the country are asking. Is a self-described political solidarity trip to promote the academic boycott of Israel consistent with the educational mission of the California State University and a legitimate use of taxpayer funds? We urge you to do an independent investigation of this matter. I've provided each of you with a packet like this containing our letter to you and supplemental material. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Esty Chandler. On behalf of the Los Angeles chapter of Jewish Voice for Peace, I thank you for the opportunity to speak to this body today. The AMSHA Initiative's most recent round of false accusations targeting scholarship, education, and solidarity organizing about Palestine has once again proved to be baseless. AMSHA and others publicly accused Dr. Rabab Abdelhadi of misrepresenting the nature and purpose of her January trip to Palestine and Jordan. The records for Professor Abdelhadi's travel have been carefully reviewed by San Francisco State University, and they have been found to comply with the established rules without fault or violation. If this sounds familiar to you, it's because AMSHA's attack on Dr. Abdelhadi was merely the latest in an ongoing campaign intended to stifle and criminalize any and all discussion of Palestine or Palestinians on California campuses. In a letter to the UC Board of Regents and this board, the National Lawyers Guild described the ways AMSHA tends to operate. They concoct false narratives about specific campus events involving criticism of Israeli government policies, describing them as targeting Jewish students. They paint a picture of campuses in which Jewish students are under constant attack in a pervasively hostile environment, in direct contradiction of actual surveys of those students who overwhelmingly report the opposite. They write to UC chancellors and CSU presidents, citing falsified events, and demand the condemnation of the speech of advocates for Palestinian rights and the shutdown of their campus organizations. They attack academic freedom of faculty members by mischaracterizing expressions of personal views and claiming that the faculty purport to represent official university positions and by making false accusations against academic departments that sponsor speakers or that affiliate with academic associations that adopt positions on important issues with which they disagree. The case of Dr. Abdulhadi is yet another prime example of this kind of harassment. In each and every case, their complaints have been appropriately ignored, dismissed, or rejected promptly by authorities, including the U.S. Department of Education, the California Attorney General, and various California State and University of California campuses. While it is heartening to see the defeat of such acts of intimidation and harassment, it is disturbing to see the price academics who disagree with AMSHA and its ilk have to pay. Colleges and universities are supposed to be places where there's a free flow of diverse ideas and perspectives. Few of us would object to administrators protecting students from emotional harm, yet most of us, I believe, see through the pretense of these acts of McCarthyism, which cynically affix anti-Semitism to all those who dare to protest Israeli state policies. In so doing, they impinge upon the academic freedom of these teachers and create a chilling and repressive climate on campus and trivialize actual incidents of anti-Semitism. Thank you.
That concludes the speakers list.
On my list, did we have Lillian, or Lillian, you're good? Okay, I just want to make sure we didn't miss you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, well, we'll move on with the chair's report. So, my first opportunity as a proud alumnus of the California State University to provide my first chair's report, and I'm certainly very excited and honored to do so, and to be here with my colleagues. You know, I learned of the CSU Board of Trustees while serving as a student leader at Cal State San Bernardino, as many of you know, and I could not imagine that someday I would have the chance to serve with all of you, and certainly not in this capacity, and I thank you for that honor and that responsibility. To borrow a slogan from the California State Student Association, I am too made in the CSU, and I'm proud to be here today. I benefited from the extraordinary learning environment created every day by CSU faculty and staff and administrators, and I thank all of you for your work on behalf of the students, alumni, and the people of California, and we have much to do. Many of my fellow trustees also graduated from the CSU. Our new vice chair, Rebecca Eisen, earned her master's degree at San Francisco State, and Becky, I appreciate you taking on this additional responsibility, and I look forward to working with you. It's also a pleasure to welcome the newest member of our board, student trustee Kelsey Brewer of Cal State Fullerton. Thank you. Kelsey is an intern and a clerk with a premier law firm, a student leader, and a nationally competitive scholar. Kelsey, you have a great colleague in Talar Alexanian of Cal State Northridge, who now assumes the role as our voting student trustee. Kelsey, I'd like to offer you a moment, if you would, to address those gathered today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It has been such a pleasure getting to meet and speak with all of you today. All of you have been so incredibly welcoming, which has made my transition onto the board a little less intimidating. It's still very intimidating. As many of you have learned today, I am a first-generation political science major, and I attend the great Cal State Fullerton, led expertly by our president, Dr. Mildred Garcia. I have been involved in student advocacy since my freshman year through our associated students, and I am so incredibly excited for the new challenges and opportunities that the student trustee position will bring. And I look forward to working with all of you, the campus leadership, CSSA, and the students of the CSU. I plan to continue the tradition started by Talar and visit all 23 campuses before the end of the year in order to get a sense of the individual cultures and personalities that every campus has. But most importantly, I hope to be an engaged, dedicated, and faithful advocate for the amazing and diverse body of CSU students. Thank you.
Well, Kelsey, it's terrific to have you here, and we're so looking forward to working with you, so thank you for those remarks. The beginning of the academic year brings many new faces to this meeting. I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Stephen Filling, a professor of accounting and finance at Cal State Stanislaus, the chair of the Academic Senate. In addition, please join me in congratulating the president and chair of the California State Student Association, our president, Daniel Clark of Fresno State, and our chair, Devin Graves of Cal Poly Pomona. Now, this is Devin's second year as chair. We certainly appreciate his presence and voice in CSU policy. Daniel's also served as an executive officer with CSSA last year, so we can look forward to a strong year of student representation. And I know, speaking on behalf of my colleagues, we look forward to working with you both and the entire team. So welcome. As we talked earlier, I'm grateful for the extraordinary effort of the students in keeping the CSU budget a priority in Sacramento. CSSA, along with our labor partners, the Chancellor's Office here, and particularly the team in Sacramento, made a strong and united case for why the university matters to the future of California. Your efforts laid the foundation that we will build on in this year's advocacy. Work has begun on the presidential search for the new president at Cal Poly Pomona. The Trustees Committee and the Advisory Committee held a well-attended open forum in May. I appreciate all those who are serving in the search process. I especially want to thank Trustees Day and Alexanian for attending the forum, along with Chancellor White, President Haynes, Devin Graves, and Lars Walton. I was struck by the great affection for President Ortiz expressed during the forum. You've set a very high bar for this search, and I thank you for your excellent leadership and service to Cal Poly Pomona and the CSU. I enjoyed reading the LA Times recently, an article about the success of the CSU summer bridge programs in general, with a special focus on the program at Cal State Fullerton. Thank you, President Garcia and the Cal State Fullerton community, for your work in creating a smooth transition from high school to college for our students. I also want to congratulate as well Professors Walter Oschel and Forrest Roher, both biology faculty at San Diego State University. They were identified as two of the, quote, world's most influential scientific minds by Thomson Reuters based on their highly cited research, and it's quite a compliment to the CSU and to San Diego State. I also want to acknowledge the work of the CSU staff in providing mental health training for campus police officers and other law enforcement professionals. Monterey Bay, Sacramento, San Diego State, San Jose State, and the Chancellor's Office each hosted training sessions during the past 2 months, and I thank them for that work. One other item I will add, which is hot off the presses, you'll probably be reading about later today in your clips or tomorrow, but our very own CSU San Marcos was named today one of the best colleges to work for by the Chronicle of Higher Education, and the only public four-year institution in California to be noted with that recognition. Congratulations. I already asked President Haynes if she was hiring, so you'll have to talk to her about that later. That concludes the Chair's report, and now for the Chancellor's report. Chancellor.
Thank you, Chair Monville, and congratulations, Karen, to you and your colleagues in San Marcos. I think reflective of all of our campuses, really, to be honest. I want to join you, Chair Monville, in welcoming Kelly Brewer as our new student trustee. Kelly, we look forward to our time together. And this is the first meeting, of course, for our two new presidents officially in their role, Lisa Rossabacher at Humboldt. Lisa, nice to have you here, and Jane Connolly at Long Beach. We're also very pleased to have Lori Lamb joining us as our new Vice Chancellor for Human Resources, an appointment that was supported unanimously by the trustees earlier today. Lori comes to us from Director of Human Resource Operations at the University of Minnesota. She has a vast amount of experience in human resource issues for well over 20 years and will be a stellar addition to our executive team and to the success of the CSU going forward as we serve California. We also have a new president of the Academic Professionals of California, Patrick Choi of the Bakersfield campus. Congratulations, Patrick. And the day can't pass without wishing Paul Zing and Ryan Storm each a happy birthday today. No better way to celebrate it than at the CSU. I noticed Paul is absent. He's probably taking his afternoon nap now. But at any rate, Robert Garcia in local news, Cal State Long Beach alum, was elected mayor of the city of Long Beach last month. He was a budding political leader and policymaker at an early age. He served as the student body president of the Long Beach campus and chair of the CSSA. And I know that President Connolly and my fellow members of the board all join me in congratulating him. We look forward to his continuing close partnership with the city, and we're proud to have such a strong supporter of the CSU in such a visible position. And in fact, he's already hosted, along with President Connolly, one of his major platform initiatives, which is education in the city of Long Beach. And so we're off to a very good start with the new mayor. With respect to our budget, we've discussed this earlier. The governor has signed off on that 14-15 state budget. It provides us with the an increase in our resources, which will enable us to maintain some degree of stability in our programs, services, and in our tuition fees. The final budget reflects the tremendous grassroots advocacy of our students, of our faculty, of our staff, of our campus leadership, of folks up in the Sacramento office and here in the Chancellor's office, along with alumni and business leaders who are in the trenches meeting with lawmakers and meeting with the executive branch about the importance for California's future to invest in this California State University. You know, those efforts are ones to pause and reflect on. It would be hard-pressed to find a trustee here who can remember when more than 70% of the legislators committed in writing to stand with the CSU in the budget negotiations, which led to both houses recommending increases to the base funding of the CSU. And so we'll come back at it again in the next season, continue to collaborate and work with the trustees, with the governor, with the legislature, and all of our business and community partners, as well as our students and our faculty and our staff as we pursue the next opportunity to serve the students of California. Earlier this month, I was honored to accept on behalf of each of you and all of you the distinguished CREO Award on behalf provided to us by the Telecu Education Foundation in Los Angeles. Telecu is a community development corporation that empowers the educational aspirations of Latinos from middle school to graduate students. And the CREO Award is presented to outstanding individuals and organizations that exemplify the highest ideals and commitment to improving our nation through personal and public service. We received the award at a black tie event on a very exciting evening in Los Angeles Live because the Kings were next door winning the Stanley Cup as we were having our celebration at LA Live. And Mayor Garcetti showed up in his gala straight from the Kings game with his jersey on and was very gracious with us. We are proud and grateful to be recognized for our work and to have Telecu as both a partner and a supporter. Chair Monfil, that concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Chancellor. For the report of the Academic Senate, the Senate Chair, Stephen Hilling.
Thank you, Chair Monville. Good afternoon, all. First, I want to express the Senate's appreciation for your sponsoring the faculty trustee legislation. We really appreciate that. I think it will improve the quality of the conversation, and we ask that you consider affirming that support with the governor as the bill moves towards his desk. The Academic Senate has spent significant time over the last year. It continues to this summer working with Chancellor's Office staff on trying to hash out how it is we implement that 120, 180 unit cap. I should note that I think we've made significant progress and thank Chancellor White for his leadership there. Our concern largely is, I guess what we might phrase as targeted quality for our students. For those of us that spend every day on a campus dealing with students, it becomes very clear that they're not all the same. They need different things. And one of our deep concerns with 120, 180 is that we don't find ourselves trying to put people into shoeboxes they don't fit into. I think we're on the way towards straightening a little bit of that out and hope that progress continues. Senate leadership is spending the summer trying to figure out what our priorities should be for the upcoming academic year. We will be spending some time in August with Chancellor's Office staff and with our colleagues at CSSA exchanging priorities and trying to find ways to fit them together. One of the primary priorities for us will doubtless be quality education, both developing it and keeping it, something that is becoming more and more of a challenge in the current environment of get people out quicker and quicker and quicker. Yes, we need to get people out quicker, but we also need to be sure that what we're putting out is students that are prepared to have careers, successful careers in the 21st century, not students that simply walk out the door with a piece of paper. In line with that, we probably will spend a lot of time talking about metrics as well. As you were bombarded with statements from people in Sacramento, from people wherever we live, wanting to know how they know that we're doing a good job, we're struggling with what metrics might be for external stakeholders. Certainly graduation rates can be one of those things, but again, the goal is to produce educated people, not necessarily graduates. We think it might also be prudent for this body to give some thought to the notion of metrics for median steps, that is, metrics for the things that enable the success of those external metrics. One that you're probably well versed in because my mentor, Dr. Guerin, has brought it up with you repeatedly, is the notion that it is indeed faculty that make the connections with students that allow them to succeed, and we dearly need more faculty here. We're very pleased to have the HR folks let us know that they were scheduling 700 searches this year. Our concern is that we seem to be less successful than normal in faculty searches. We're likely to end up with probably about 600 faculty, and given that in any one year we have around 500 retirements, that doesn't leave us with much of a rebuilding for what we've lost. We encourage people to continue thinking about that. Finally, I'll note that we've spent a lot of time developing the academic conference, which will take place in November, hosted by our chancellor immediately following your board meeting. That is, it will run from noon Thursday until noon Friday. It's intended to be a venue for the sort of conversations that you had today with respect to goals and priorities, what your legislative principles are, etc. Hopefully a conversation that can include a wide variety of stakeholders in addition to the trustees. There will be students there, there will be faculty there will be people from the community, there will be legislators. We hope that you will choose to attend as well. Chair Monville, that's the end of my remarks.
Thank you very much. Now is the opportunity for our friends at the Alumni Council to comment. Our distinguished president, Kristen Krellian.
Thank you, Chair Monville, and congratulations on your election as chair. We are very proud to have the alumni trustee again serving as the chair of the Board of Trustees and look forward to working with you on important university priorities where alumni can be of assistance. I have just a few brief updates to share with you. The Alumni Council has been hard at work preparing for the upcoming year-long celebration of the CSU reaching 3 million alumni. The celebration, known as the Class of 3 Million, will begin on October 1st and run through graduation of 2015. At the September meeting, I look forward to sharing a preview of this fun and interactive celebration with you. The Alumni Council will hold its fall meeting September 5th and 6th at Cal State LA. The theme of the meeting will explore best practices in alumni career services and how alumni can serve as valuable career resources to current students. The annual Back to College Night, hosted by the California State Society in Washington, D.C., will be on September 17th. This event is open to alumni of any institution of higher education in California, and the CSU always has the largest attendance, and we look forward to another record this year. On October 4th, the CSU will host a system-wide alumni reception in Denver, which is one of the top 5 out of the state CSU alumni population centers. The reception coincides with the Haku Conference, of which many of our presidents and faculty attend, and we look forward to seeing many of you there. Thank you, Chair Monville. That concludes my report.
Thank you so much. And now for the report of the CSSA, President Daniel Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daniel Clark. I am the president of the California State Student Association, a first-generation college student, as well as a community college transfer student. I currently attend the best CSU in the state, and that is Fresno State University. Going to go ahead and introduce some of my exec team members. To my left, right over here, is our chair, Devon Graves from Cal Poly Pomona. Our VP of Finance, Agatha Gusitsky from Cal State Long Beach, had to leave early for work. Our VP of University Affairs, Mr. Anthony Gibson from Sacramento State. Our current VP of Legislative Affairs, Sonia Soltani. She attends San Francisco State. She is currently doing humanitarian work in Central America. And then to the left of Mr. Gibson is my Chief of Staff, Mr. Christopher Willett from CSUN. This past week, we had our first meeting of the year, actually here in this building. We began to lay the groundwork for the upcoming year. In addition to orientation training, we began the process of a comprehensive strategic plan for the California State Student Association. CSSA looks forward to adopting a new plan by early spring and also looks forward to engaging with you all in that process, considering that you all are stakeholders in this organization. CSSA wants to thank the CSU for their quick work, and I want to emphasize quick work in regards to the Title IX audit and the recommendations that are brought forth by the audit committee. And I encourage the presidents that are sitting here today to really reach out to your student leaders at the local level. Reach out to the folks in AS and ASIs to help you with the orientation process for many of our students. We really want to thank the CSU and Karen Zamaripa in particular for the work that we did together with our Stand with the CSU project that really gathered support from legislators all across the state. While we were disappointed that we didn't get additional $95 million from the state budget, the silver lining in all that is that we really identified folks that are going to go to bat for students. We really identified folks that are going to be our champions of the CSU this year. And I'm very proud to say that over 86 members took part in our letter signings as well as voting for our budget. Moving forward, CSSA for the first time ever will be releasing a legislative scorecard, which will grade policymakers on the decisions that they make and how positive or negatively it impacted students. We hope that this will raise awareness about student issues as well as get legislators to take students seriously. When it comes to this California budget pie, we want to be bigger players than that. So moving forward, we hope that we can continue the work that we've done together with the CSU, faculty, and as well as students. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you all. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the May 21st, 2014 meeting? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? So moved. Before us today, we have 4 conferrals. The first is the conferral of the title of Trustee Emeritus upon our friend Cipriano Vargas. On behalf of the board, I'd like to move the item. Is there a second? The item's been moved and seconded. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Next is the conferral of the title of President Emeritus on our friend Roland Richmond. On behalf of the board, I'd like to move the item. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next, the conferral of the title of Vice Chancellor Emeritus Gail Brooks. Our friend Gail, on behalf of the committee, I move the item. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. And finally, conferral of commendation on Dr. Donald J. Parra, who was our interim president, distinguished at Long Beach State. On behalf of the board, I would move the item. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved. We'll then continue on to the report of the committees. The report on collective bargaining, Trustee Achtenberg.
Mr. Chairman, at today's collective bargaining committee meeting, the committee approved the minutes, and the committee also heard several speakers. The committee unanimously adopted initial proposals for 2014-15 salary reopener negotiations with Bargaining Unit 4, Academic Professionals of California. The Committee on Collective Bargaining was then adjourned, and that concludes the report of the Committee on Collective Bargaining.
Thank you, Trustee Achtenberg. Trustee Eisen, the Committee on Audit, please.
The Committee on Audit heard 2 information items, 1 action item. Agenda item 1 was a status report on current and follow-up internal audit assignments. Agenda item 2 was an information item also on the implementation plan for the quality assurance review. And agenda item 3 was an action item on the review and approval of KPMG as the California State University external auditor. That item was approved. Chair Monville, this concludes the report of the Committee on Audit.
Great. Thank you very much, Trustee Eisen. The Committee on Governmental Relations, Trustee Fagan.
The Committee on Governmental Relations heard 1 information item, an update on advocacy and key measures advancing through the legislative process, and that's it for governmental relations.
Thank you, Trustee Fagan. The Committee on Institutional Advancement, Trustee Glazier.
The Committee on Institutional Advancement heard 1 consent item and 1 action item. The action item approved the naming of the Jeff Jacobs Jam Center at San Diego State University. On behalf of the committee, I would move the item.
Is there a second? Second. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Chair Monville, that concludes the report of the Committee on Institutional Advancement.
Thank you, Trustee Glazier. Committee on Campus Planning, Buildings and Grounds.
Thank you, Chair Monville. Today, the Committee on Campus Planning, Buildings and Grounds considered 2 action items. Agenda item 1 seeks board approval to amend the 2014-15 non-state funded capital outlay program for projects at CSU East Bay and CSU Sacramento. On behalf of the committee, I move the resolution. Second?
second comment?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Chair
Trustee
Monville.
Glazier.
Chair Monville, I need to recuse myself on this item. This involves a company, AT&T, in which my wife is employed. Accordingly, I will recuse myself on both this item and the next item and leave the dais.
Thank you.
Thank you. With respect to, yes.
Oh, I need to recuse myself as well. Should I state what?
Trustee Actenberg for agenda item 1, 2, or both?
The one where you're voting on the telecommunications?
That's, well, AT&T is, and the cellular carriers are involved in both items.
Okay, well, I'm gonna withdraw from both then, because I may or may not own stock in one of the companies. And so, in the event that I do,
Abundance of caution.
I'm out of here. It's like,
Well, before they vote, go buy some, right?
All
Thank
right. So back to agenda item 1, the capital outlay program. On behalf of the committee, I move the resolution. Is there a second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item 2 seeks board approval of the schematic plans for Cal State University San Marcos. On behalf of the committee, I move that resolution.
Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
That concludes the report of the Committee on Campus Planning, Buildings, and Grounds.
Okay.
they're back.
Well, I was giving, don't rush, I'll give plenty of time. The joint meeting, Committees on Finance and Capital Planning, Buildings and Grounds, Trustee Actenberg, welcome back.
Thank you, Chair Monville. The committee approved its minutes and entertained one information item, and that concludes the report of the joint committee.
Thank you, Trustee Actenberg. Committee on University and Faculty Personnel, Trustee Morales.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The agenda for the Committee on University and Faculty Personnel included one consent item, which was adopted the minutes, and one action item. Item 1 was an action item that set compensation for the newly appointed Vice Chancellor for Human Resources. On behalf of the committee, I move the resolution as stated in agenda item 1.
There's a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank
So
you,
moved.
Mr. Chair. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Morales. Committee on Finance, Trustee Actenberg.
Mr. Chairman, the Committee on Finance approved its minutes and considered one information item on the support budget, and that concludes the report of the Committee on Finance.
Thank you, Trustee Actenberg. Committee on Educational Policy, Trustee Farrar.
Thank you, Chair Monville. The Committee on Educational Policy met today and approved its minutes and considered 4 information items, and that concludes the meeting of the Committee on Educational Policy.
Thank you, Trustee Farrar. All right, everyone, that concludes the committee reports. I wish you all a great and fulfilling rest of your summer. The board will reconvene at our next regular meeting, September 9, 2014. Notice of the meeting will go out in ordinary course 10 days in advance of those meetings. We are adjourned.
State University Office of the Chancellor's live stream. Please adjust your audio accordingly. This is the California State University Office of the Chancellor's live stream. Please adjust your audio accordingly.